The day before I picked up my Himalayan, I stopped by the dealership and picked up a manual. And that evening I was leafing through the manual. The manual fell apart. If you've ever handled any old books and you know what a dry spine is like, well, it was like the glue was all dried up, and I ended up with something that looked more akin to a deck of cards than a printed manual. If I was a guy that believed in science, I'd be running. The day I picked up my Himalayan, they went to start it. Not only would it not start, not even the dash lights would come on. The battery was absolutely, totally dead. So dead, they had to replace it. And actually, this was not a bad thing. A lot of people have mentioned and complained about the original batteries that come with the Himalayan. So I got a brand new Japanese battery. So I was actually quite happy. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on the things that everybody has spoken about, except for one thing, the brakes. Some people have been critical of the brakes, and actually driving the bike home that day, I had to make a panic stop, and the brakes worked fine. And after driving the bike for some time, I must say I'm really pleasantly surprised with the quality of the brakes, especially the rear brake. Sometimes on a bike that goes off-road, the ABS can be intrusive, and you can. This brake really works well. The front brake is not on par with high-performance street bikes. But the thing I like about these brakes is it doesn't matter whether it's pavement or gravel or whatever it is, I feel very confident in just hammering the brakes if I need to. And I think that is perfect. One of the things that I found surprising is how restrictive the break-in period was. And because I'd never owned a Royal Enfield before, I decided to follow the restrictions fairly closely. And so it takes a long time to get to 2,000 kilometers. But now that the bike is broken in, I can honestly say that I'm glad I did. There is a noticeable difference between the bike when it was new and now. It revs much more freely. It does seem like it has loosened up. When I first got it, it was very cold-blooded, as if it was so tight that when it was cold, it was going to it would stall all the time while it was attempting to idle, and you had to hold the throttle at 2,000 RPM for a while before it warmed up enough that you could actually back it off and let it idle reliably. Once the engine warmed up, it was perfectly fine. And I notice now that the bike is broken in, it's much less cold-blooded than it was. The engine is actually quite nice. It's quite smooth, and one thing I really like about it is it's quiet. From 80 kilometers on, the only thing you can hear is the wind. And after owning, Harleys and even my Africa Twin, I thought it sounded very busy on the highway. This bike is refreshingly quiet. It's got good torque. Now that I've owned the bike for 2,000 kilometers, I can honestly say it's fine. It's fine. I don't find it something that comes up when I go for a ride. Oh, this doesn't have any power. I don't feel that at all. And on the highway, I think at 100 kilometers an hour, it's very happy. You can ride all day at 65 or 100 kilometers an hour all day long. I think the bike would, and if you have to go faster, if you have to, it's willing to do it. I don't think I would want to stick there all day. One of the things that's a little bit odd is instead of having, a reserve light or some other indicator that you're getting close to empty, once you get below 5.5 liters of fuel in the tank, your trip meter will go from trip A to trip F. And what it does is it starts its own trip meter based on you now drop to 5.5 liters of fuel, and it starts giving you the mileage here. Initially, I was totally confused. I thought there was something wrong with the instrument panel, but and so with 5.5 liters of fuel, that's excess of a third of a tank. You probably have 150 kilometers of fuel in there. Some people have complained about the seat. Initially, I was not crazy about it. It was okay. Yesterday I went for a ride, and I was on the bike for about 9 hours, and it was not bad. The handling of this bike, I was really surprised at how well it handles the street. I didn't buy it for the street, but I found that it's very confidence-inspiring. On the dirt, for such a small bike, it doesn't feel squirrely or twitchy or anything like that. I think what they've done deliberately is kind of slowed down the steering of it so that on gravel roads or dirt or whatever, it's tremendously confidence-inspiring. On the whole, I'm very, very pleased with this bike. Would buy this again in a heartbeat.